right, Necromaniacs, let's get to it. First of all, we want to go over the Necromunda Adepticon list that we're taking for the Orlocks. We're going to go piece by piece on that. Main thing is we're using the House of Iron book, which I haven't played with yet, and I built my list from that. Now, the Adepticon 2020 are the only basic rules that I have. I was hoping they would release them faster, but they have not yet put the 2022 stuff out. Adepticon get canceled in 2020 and 2021 due to the pandemic, but they haven't sent us this, but I really don't expect this to change too much. I would say this is probably going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to build my list using this. There may be an update, and I would say whenever I do the Gene Stealer list next, I'll tell you. Hopefully it will have come out by then, and if there's any differences, we'll let you know. So I use this to build it, which is 1,250 credits, must contain 1 leader, up to 3 champions, can have between 6 and 15 models. I've got up to 12, so I think that's important to have as many miniatures on the board as possible. 1 brute, not using a brute, too much credits putting into it. 3 hive scum, I am using that just because I need bodies on the board to move around. No hangers on, and you get 5 primary skills you can add in addition to the skills that they come with at like starting the gang. So I've added those as the leader and the champion that I have both get a skill, and then 3 of the wreckers each get skills because they don't come starting with a skill, but they can gain 1. So I give them a primary skill. So, because they're your Jews, other than regular Jews in this list. So, let's get started. First, we have the Road Captain. He's our leader. He has a bolt gun and smoke grenade. That bolt gun is definitely going to be my main liability weapon. It's got a 6+ ammunition, and that's scary because I will roll that ammunition check die and then not be able to make the 6. Ways that I'm mitigating that is that I'm using Munitioneer, so I get a reroll, but I do not trust myself to reroll a 6, so we'll see. And unfortunately, because I am who I am, I'm going to roll that ammo check on the very first shot of the whole game, possibly multiple times, so I fully expect that. Next, he has smoke, which is a 4+ ammunition, but because it's a grenade, you always have to roll that every single time, and once you've run out of it, even with the reroll through Munitioneer, if you fail that twice, it's out for the rest of the game. So another could be problematic issue there. Finally, he has Overseer. So he's going to be able to use his actions and pass those to another miniature within close range, and that's going to be our Road Sergeant with the Heavy Stubber. But before we jump from there, let's talk more about smoke grenades. Now, we're going to use a smoke grenade. It's a 5-inch template. I'll always take a 5-inch template grenade over something that's small. This like, what is this, like a 3-inch? 2.5-inch template, and you want something this big to make sure that even with scatter, you're going to be able to catch most of the miniatures. And what I'm going to use that is a smoke / photo goggles combo. The photo goggles are on the champion Road Sergeant, and he has an auto, the heavy stubber. I always want to call it an auto gun. It is a heavy auto gun, pretty much stat-wise. And he's going to be using that to shoot through the smoke, hitting targets, and they can't return fire. So that's the tactic on that one. And the main thing is that at the end phase, you have to roll for smoke, and on a 5 or 6, it stays, but anything else is going to go away. So you can't count on that stuff sticking around for the next turn. So you're going to have to use your leader first, throw the smoke, set it in place, and then use the champ to shoot through it in the same turn. Now, hopefully it sticks around. You can do that again without having to throw smoke again. Then you can use your Overseer to get 2 shots out of it, but that's a 1 in 3 chance of that smoke sticking around into the next turn. And then that's pretty much the main thing for the leader. Those are going to be his main setup, is he's going to be using smoke, his bolt gun, and the Overseer as much as possible to combo up with that Road Sergeant. The bolt gun is good, but it's just not as good anymore compared to the Palanite Guardsmen, like bolt guns that have better ammunition. I want to say they have a 4+ or a 5+ on that. I'll take that all day over a 6+. I can roll a 5+, that's 1 in 3, but a 6+ is almost impossible for me. And statistically, I'm just not going to roll that. So I fear that, and that's probably the main scary part, is that bolt gun form. And I'll post this up. This is my list that I'm reading off of, and I'll post this up as a digital image on top top of my big face here, but so you guys can see that. So please take time, pause it, read what I got on there. Let me know what you think. Again, this is not a review of the book. This is just what I'm taking to Adepticon. What I just over my perusing the book, what I thought will probably be good. I definitely think they're definitely a shooting gang versus a close combat gang. I definitely could be wrong about that, but I'll tell you why as I go through this stuff. But they're much improved. I would say that they have gone from a low tier gang to definitely an upper tier gang. I don't think they're break the game, beat everyone else type of gang yet, but that's good. That's the way it should be. I don't want them going to be to where it's all Orlocks is the only thing you're going to see at any sort of semi-competitive event, etc. Now, again, Necromunda is not that. And it says that in this even, it talks about like, be careful what you take. Don't bring broken stuff. You know, if you found a loophole, there's no reason to take this. This is more about story and having fun than to bring the most trashiest list that's just going to wreck everyone else. That's not what this game is about. Next is the Road Sergeant. He has 2 skills. Like I said, the skills for the Road Captain were Munitioneer and Overseer. For the Champ, we're going to take Nerves of Steel, which helps him negate that pinning. I want him shooting, especially since he has a weapon that has to use both actions. He needs to not spend one of those actions, getting unpinned and standing up, etc. So he needs to try and negate that as much as possible. Now, that's a cool check. 6+ for him. Statistically, that's pretty good. If you think the average of 2 dice is going to be a 7, most of the time he's going to be able to roll that 6+ to negate the pinning to allow him to continue to shoot next round. Because every round that you lose that guy shooting is devastating to you. The Heavy Stubber is probably the best weapon in the game to me, heavy weapon-wise, for your points cost, because it has good ammunition, has rapid fire 2, which means with 2 rapid fire dice, you're going to average around 3 hits on average. Of course, you have you double your chance of rolling the ammo check, but you then have the 4+ ammo check, which is good. And also I will make sure he's next to the Munitioneer to get a reroll on that. Finally, he'll have the skill Steady Hands, which is what is that called? A Bravado skill, which is like the Orlock special skills. And Bravado Steady Hand skill allows him to get a simple action, free simple action to do an ammo check before he takes his regular actions. So he can do a free reload and have a reroll with it with the Munitioneer before he shoots, which means he can get to shoot if he runs out of ammunition. He doesn't have to spend a turn loading the ammo and then, crap, now I have to stand here for a turn now that I'm reloaded and wait till next turn to shoot again. He can do that simple reload for free and then shoot with his double actions. Now, again, if there was a change that I would make, it would probably get that servo arm so that he can move around and it's only a 1 action move taken to shoot the weapon, which would allow him to move and reload as needed. But I just didn't have that points. I want to say it's 60 points for that thing, and I can take 2. I can pretty much take 1 full. What are they called? I can take 1 full Hive Scum for that because they were like 45 points with the 30 for them and 15 more for an auto gun or a las gun. I need the bodies more than I need that movement. Now, again, I need to set him up in a fire lane, and I'll talk about those here in just a second, but that's how he's going to use those. We talked about rapid fire. We talked about steady hands. We talked about nerves of steel. I think that covers the Road Sergeant. Main thing we're going to do is set up fire lanes. We want to set him up in an area that he can shoot down, usually bisecting the board, so we can cut their cut their gang in half. I would say army, and divide it up and then conquer it. So I want to be able to set up a kill zone that they're scared to run across. Usually, I'm looking for stuff where the terrain is more than 10 inches. Apart from itself, and the reason that is because most of the time they move 4 or 5 inches for most of the miniatures. Now, Jews usually move a little faster, like these Jews move 6 inches, and same for the Wreckers, which are like Jews with jump packs on. So Jews double moving are going to be able to run across that, but that's not the majority of the gang that he's going to be facing against, but it allows him to cut the board in half using a fire lane. And those fire lanes, I'm setting up looking for lanes that will give me as much length as I can get, so I can use that 40-inch length for the heavy stubber and or the 20-inch short range. And I'm trying to get crossfire on guys so that I can get them outside of cover. I can get my auto guns around to the sides of them and shoot as a crossfire and pin those guys down and make their life not fun by setting up crossfire zones looking for them. And I'll post on the image here about how I'm looking every time I come up to a map. And I learned this from Infinity. I come up and I start looking for those fire lanes, especially on a you go, I go type of game. You want to be able to have more men so that you can start using your hive scum first. Well, eventually if they have less men than you, are going to have to use their special weapons, their leaders, their champions before you do, which means that most of the time they're shooting at your cheaper units while you're able to shoot at their higher priced units because they had to pop out of cover to take those shots and then are stuck there for the rest of the turn. And also, so I guess the main tactic I'm using is I set up in defense. Wait until I have superiority in numbers, and then I press the attack. So that's going to be the game plan almost every time. So kill zones, crossfire, we were talking about that, looking for those crossfire lanes. I'll put that up on here. And then edge lanes. Edge lanes are super important because if you go on most maps at a tournament or any sort of competitive event, the guys who literally set up the board don't want those pieces of terrain up against the edges of the board so they don't get knocked off and smashed on the floor. So there's almost always a 6-inch gap all along the back line and along the sidelines of a table. So that means that leaves a pretty good path, and most of the time those won't have any sort of scatter terrain in them either. So that leaves a pretty good kill zone that you can shoot down, or if it's safe, run a squad or a fire team up of guys to get in and get crossfires on your enemy. So watch those edge lanes. It's a great way. It's one of the things, again, something I learned in Infinity. Those edge lanes where there's no terrain are either deadly or very useful depending on how they're guarded, and you want to make sure you always have somebody there to guard them. Okay, regular gunners. These are our regular ganger boys. They got auto guns. Imagine that. I love auto guns, and I'm going to run them in fire teams. I'll put a card up here, hopefully right now, that links you to my fire team video where I talk about moving those guys around. I want teams of 2 or sometimes even 3 with some of the hive scum guys added on to that. Keep them spread out outside of 3 inches so they don't have nerve tests and stuff like that if one of them goes down with a serious injury or are out of action. But you want those guys supporting each other, moving and firing. One guy moves, other guy stays safe and in cover to fire, and then next turn this guy fires while the other guy moves. Moving together, stay slow, stay safe, use terrain to your advantage. Don't get caught out in the open, because I've been able to pick off guys who thought they were far enough back that they wouldn't be in any trouble, and they ran across the street, got stuck in the middle of the street, and one lucky auto hit at long range, and I take them out. So be careful about moving around and use fire team tactics as much as it can work for you, and you'll develop your own strategy for that. And it also depends on the terrain. Again, I don't know what they're going to have at Adepticon. All I can plan on is what my list has. So you can't plan on the terrain. You have no idea. And so just plan on what you can do. Go from there. Adapt as you set up at the table. Wreckers, these guys are probably what makes Orlock good to me, because it's guys with jump packs. Now, their shooting is crap. They have a 5+. Shooting. Their weapon skill, for close combat is a 5+, which is not great. Their ballistic skill is 4+, also not amazing. So how do you mitigate that? How about templates? So I give them some hand flamers. 2 of the guys come with hand flamers, and that way I don't have to worry about that roll. For those guys, I give a skill of hip shooting, which allows them to move twice and then still shoot. It usually, if it was a regular weapon, would be at, I think, -2. But guess what? I got a template. I don't care about any minuses, so I'm just going to lay that template down. So 6 inches of the juke move +3, double that. So that's 9 inches times 2 is 18, plus 8 inches of this. Man, that's 26 inches that they can reach out and touch someone. They can double move and then shoot 8 inches. There's not going to be a whole lot that can get away from that. So those close combat guys that are coming to get me because I have no close combat capability in this list, these are going to be there to pin them. Now, the main thing that I'm going to be scared of is those nerves of steel guys that are going to try and negate that. So all I can do is just keep hitting them with as many I guess, pinning attempts as I can and hope that eventually he fails that cool check. Of course, there's going to be that time where I hit him 3, 4, 5, 6 times with auto guns, flamers, pistol shots, and all of a sudden, and he just makes every cool roll there is. That's going to happen, but it's not always going to happen. So just set yourself up for success by, hitting them with as many of those as you can, taking that guy out. He's a super threat, especially if he's close combat for this list. What else are we doing with those guys? Also, shooting into smoke. I can drop these templates into smoke. I don't care what's, my visibility into it. So if I needed to jump up and hit somebody who's literally standing in this smoke cloud that I've dropped right in front of my heavy stubber guy, that's not a problem because I got these templates. They can reach out and touch someone. So another way you can use those guys. The final wrecker has auto pistols ×2, and he's going to take the special skill gunfighter. I love that skill. I know it's not considered amazing in some sources, but I really like it because it negates that negative to shooting both weapons, especially for somebody who has a 4+ anyways to shoot them. And you get that at close range, which is 4 inches for those auto pistols. So 9-inch jump move +4, that's 13-inch threat range at short range. Now he can technically shoot further if he wants to, it's just going to be a 4+, but I like to get within that short range if possible to ensure that both of those hopefully hit. 4+ ×2, you should expect one of those to hit, one to miss, but you highly increase the odds when you make that a 3+ for both of them. So ammo on the pistols is 2+ if you even roll an ammo check die, and then it's plentiful, so it auto reloads as you need to, and he could jump back because he can move 9 inches, get out of danger, reload on the next turn, and then be ready to go after that. So I like this guy as just a threat guy who's going to, again, stick with the hand flamers, and those guys are going to move up at anything that starts to threaten the heavy stubber guy. So if my champ gets under some pressure, especially if close combat guys, these guys are going to jump up, assist, hopefully take out the threat, or at least pin him at a minimum, and then I'll deal with them the next turn. Things that I make lots of reminder markers. I got a whole bag here. I use these little like plastic bead systems, kind of like these. I'll show you some pictures of these. I'll put them up on the camera. But this is a nerve test because I hate forgetting the nerve test when I do it to an opponent. If he's got a cluster of guys and I take a guy out with a serious injury or a out of action, they need to take those nerve tests. That's part of the game. And if I don't throw this down to remind me and be like, hey, dude, you need to take some nerve tests on that, don't forget, I will forget, and those guys will just move on, keep on fighting, and we skipped a whole section of the game that could really help you if they fail those checks. Next, if they fail that check, you got a broken check, because these guys, the broken guys, have to run to cover. And what happens is you forget about it. So I usually say, hey, man, I'm going to put this broken token just next to your guy who's broken so that we can remember that he's broken. Because a lot of times other people don't bring tokens. They just try and remember it. And then that guy jumps right back in action because everybody forgets that he was broken. And now you're fighting against somebody that shouldn't be able to jump back into combat and deal and attack you because he's broken, but everyone's forgot about it because you didn't have tokens. So I use tokens a lot. I'll post up these little acrylic pieces. I don't think they're acrylic, but they're plastic little small bases. They're almost exactly 25 millimeter, the size of a small base. And I just print out a piece of paper, stick those on top of them, cut them out with some scissors. Instant tokens, however I want them to look like. So that's how I use that. You can put your face on them. I have some. This one has a screamy guy on it. Usually I'll use my own face, just making a scream on it, just because it's funny to throw those down and be like, "Is that your face?" I'm like, "Yep." So just an idea. If you guys want to use those, I highly recommend them. What else? Oh, other things. I use smoke tokens because what I do is where my smoke grenade lands, I'll put this down, and then you can hold the actual piece over the top of it because this is much smaller, won't get underneath bases and stuff like that. And you can just drop this over it so you know where the hole is. So you can always check as people move out of smoke areas, you know where it is. So you can drop that, hold the hole over the hole here and see who's underneath it. So this is just a smaller version of smoke. Another thing that I've transferred it from Infinity, they use this type of smoke ring as well to be a smaller ring to so you don't always have to have this plate and try and slip it under bases, or if people move into it, it doesn't get weird. So I highly recommend something like that. I think this comes from Litco as well. Target priorities for this game: close combat troops. Top priority. I cannot get into close combat because I'm going to lose. I have nobody with any sort of close combat weapon in this whole list. That could be a huge mistake. I'll let you know. As I'm at Adepticon, I'll be doing videos over how my day went, what happened, what I liked, what I didn't like, and I'll be posting those as well. But this is how I'm going to do this, is close combat troops are going to be the top priority. Next is going to be anybody with photo goggles. Let me check in their list. Be like, okay, anybody got photo goggles in this? And anybody that does, I'll be like, who's that miniature? Point him out to me. Okay, I need to take that guy down. He's second priority because I do not want him shooting back through that smoke at me, because I will only have one guy, that heavy stubber, who could shoot through. So I don't want anybody shooting back, so he's going to be a top priority of taking him out. What else? Special weapons, heavy weapons, any sort of longer range weapon. Maybe if there was a las gun all decked out, something like that, that's still only 24 inches, but any sort of heavier special weapon is going to be the third priority. I feel like I can win most shootouts in this situation, especially the way I play, super defensive, auto gun, you know, just shoot until I get numerical superiority, and then push forward with my weenie guys, pushing up to get more and more auto shots against guys, clustering up, taking as many auto gun shots at like one character until he's done, and then move on, do it again, slowly take out until they have a bottle check, and then hopefully finish them out. What else? That pretty much is the target priorities for it. I guess for the end of the video, guys, that covers it for this. I'm going to be doing the Gene Stealers next. I'm not fully set on what my list is going to be. I'm having trouble deciding on some of that stuff, but I'm going to do Gene Stealers next. If anybody's interested, I'm also playing Battlefleet Gothic, so I'm working on that list. If you care, please put it in the comments below if you want to know about Battlefleet Gothic and what I'm taking for that competition. I'm also doing, what else we got? Stargrave. This is a kind of a Mordheim style, old school. You take a gang with you. They are, you know, it's like a captain, first mate, and then peon, you know, adventures. You're going in, and instead of trying to find some, you know, chaotic meteorite, you're trying to find like tech stuff. So it's very much Mordheim in space, made by Osprey. I really liked the Stargrave and the Frostgrave system. Pretty much old school Mordheim. I love it. I play all those Mordheim, Blood Bowl, all the old, you know, box set games that I grew up with. I love that stuff. So if anybody cares about that, I can definitely make a video about that. Just put something in the comments below. And then finally, as a recommendation, this is what I've been playing for probably the last 6-7 months, because Necromunda died on us because of the pandemic, and we just keep having surges. Every time we start to get something going, we have a new surge, and everybody's like, I don't know if we should be playing, you know, let's take a break, stuff like that. So I can never get a group going. This is a one-player adventure game. You use this book. It allows you to set up. I use my 40K Blackstone Fortress miniatures and also my Necromunda miniatures to make the groups that you use. You just it's all using rolling charts on D6s on, okay, you got a corporation that wants to give you a job, or this criminal organization that wants to give you a job, or this government, and you kind of decide, you make enemies, you make friends, and the world just kind of evolves around you. You can use, you know, then you build your ship, you can jump from ship to ship, and there's this alien, I want to say there's like an alien demonic race that's slowly attacking different planets you're on, so you can only spend a certain amount of time on a planet, and then it gets overwhelmed and the war begins on it, and that starts a whole new set of missions. Great game. I've really enjoyed it, and because it uses any miniature range, I use all my Necromunda stuff and my Blackstone Fortress stuff for that. So highly recommend it if you guys want to pick something up. I really enjoyed it, and if you want a full review on that, please let me know. I can make a video on that. So just put that in the comments below. That's all I got, guys. I appreciate it. More videos coming, more Necromunda coming. All right, static out.